One question that I get in the fat loss diet fitness game is people asking if they can use seasoning and spices on their food. And I got a funny story from this whole question. I had a client sign up, and I knew the guy in person, so we actually met for the face-to-face eval. Usually I send out the evaluation online and it's completed online. But in this scenario, I met with the guy, we sat down, and over the course of the 30-minute eval, he asked me at least twice, can I use seasoning and spices? And I told him yes. And I said, for someone your size, 4 to 5 tablespoons per day. And he asked the next question, how much can I use? He asked that 4 more times, and I'll get to that in a minute. So he asked it, I think, 2 more times during the actual eval, and I let him know very clearly that even if you use 4 to 5 tablespoons per day, your success, or anybody's success in the diet fat loss game, will never hinge on seasoning and spices. They're basically negligible. You don't want to overdose on them. And when I say seasoning and spices, I'm also referring to condiments. Mustard, Splenda, sweet and low, cinnamon, whatever. Maybe not cinnamon, but you guys get my point. You guys see where I'm going with this. Salt, whatever, pepper. So, I sent him his program, and he asked me at least 2 more times, how much seasoning can I use? And I kept repeating to him, you can use 4, maybe 5, 4 to 6 tablespoons per day. And I'd always follow up with, but your success isn't going to hinge on that. If you have 2 tablespoons, or even if you add 12 tablespoons a day, that's not going to ultimately hinge on your success. You should follow it. You should do it. But your success will not hinge on the amount of seasoning and spices you use. Unless you're going through a bottle of ketchup a day, it's not gonna hinge on, your success won't hinge on it. Now the question is, why did he ask that? Well, he asked that, and he asked that repeatedly for the same reason so many other people ask it. You see, I've had dozens of other clients that will ask that question repeatedly. They'll continue to ask it after I've already told them the answer. So why do they ask that? Why do people continue to ask that? Ask how many tablespoons, or how much can they have? All right, well, no, we can have it. How much? And I'm going to tell you why. The reason people ask that is because they think that if they adhere to just that one thing, that will credit them to slack off in other areas. They think that if they meticulously adhere to the correct amount of seasonings and spices and condiments, that will credit them, that will give them permission to go have cocktails on the weekend, to have Cheesecake Factory twice a week, to go have whatever else they eat. And it's funny because the guy that, in the scenario that I told you the story about, that continued to ask 4 and 5 times, how many tablespoons, how much, and I think it was barbecue sauce he loved, how much barbecue sauce can I have? He asked me that question 4 times, and every time I told him the same answer. And if I told him the same answer, why did he keep asking? He kept asking because he wanted to hear a different answer. He thought that if he just adhered to that in his scenario, he loved Grey Goose. He wanted to go, he wanted to have like several shots or whatever of Grey Goose on the weekend. And I told him, that's going to hurt you a lot more than a few extra tablespoons of barbecue sauce. But you got to understand the thought process, what's going on between the ears. The people that ask that question, it's because they're hoping if they follow that and they adhere to that strictly, that will credit them to screw up and slack off in other areas of the diet game. Guys, if that made sense to you, like this video, thumbs up it if you agree with me on that. Guys, get to my website, URL link in the description box below, and